You are watching Xirtus.
So before we move on, this is just one video by Autodidactic. He made I think, a great video on the Maui fires, or at
Nice.
least showing, comparing the images and so on. Again, I wouldn't make any claims as to what is what exactly, but just
Yeah.
that
But Campbell
obviously there
does
is.
good. He does a good job questioning, that's the thing. Like we got to be like pointing these things out. I was just recently looking at several things that they, people had completely dismissed as forgeries 100 years ago. And there's more and more evidence that they're real, right? Sorry, what was this point though? This is about the fire where in
Maui, the
Maui?
recent one now, the recent ones, yeah. And just showing the images and showing the things that look suspicious. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty crazy. The firestorms that emerge, The other thing is, important to remember is how much nature does play into it. Because yeah, once you get something going, a fire can be pretty easily fed by wind and everything.
Sure, which also we know can be engineered to some extent. So,
Right.
this is maybe
This
how
is
they call
great.
it,
Yeah.
cover up the perfect storm. There's
Yeah.
definitely several ways to do that. And even um, interestingly, just on that topic, there is one interesting book, I believe, oh my God, how it's called, The Town Shaman or The City Shaman or something like this, which is a book by a Hawaiian shaman, and where they basically, I guess he talks about spirituality, but then also specifically how they have the training themselves to avert hurricanes and so on. So again, this idea of quote unquote weather manipulation by humans in this time for good, let's say. But yeah, this concept there is recurring. Oh yeah, and
Mm.
Autodidactic also shows there's even a Simpsons episode with
The
a
laser mirror
yeah,
thing, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of examples of glass prisms being used to make that, super rays. But is that what, are we thinking that this is just some sort of a light beam, like a dew, or is this more like, a energy ray, or do you think these are like seeded explosions? Like, do you think this is literally just a green wave?
For me, well, it could be a combination of any of those things. The main thing just is if it doesn't seem to conform at all to the patterns that really verified natural fires have, then we know there's an artificial component, and I think that's the main thing to be aware of. And what it is exactly, it's not my area of expertise. If the images are correct, it's certainly suspicious why some of the blue things seem to survive, and there are these blue laser tests, right? You've seen that probably, and people trying it at home, or how you can set it up. Yeah.
Someone was joking. That's why we're wearing blue.
Oh yeah.
Got to keep safe. Like Braveheart.
Indeed.
Well, I
So
mean,
there's a
I think
yes.
the laser thing is so specific, though. That's the thing. So many of these, and so this came up recently when we're talking about September 11th, right? Because when September 11th happened, it was Flight 77 was too high to hit the Pentagon, so it circled back around, and Dick Cheney kept it from being taken out because that Pentagon, like they could have taken it out, but they didn't, and it came back around, which meant that it didn't do anything special. It just like came back, lowered itself, so it's even closer now, and then comes into the Pentagon. And so instead of destroying it, which would have been the prerogative, lets it happen. And people, instead of asking questions about that, footage is put out on the internet back in 2001 of a rocket, right? Like, and they're like, oh, a rocket hit the Pentagon, which is pretty ridiculous because you had the plane. I mean, there might have been a rocket involved with the plane, but you have all the things you need to show, that there's evidence that this was allowed to happen. And instead, by producing more evidence, the CIA and everything are able to distract people from what was really going on. And I think that we see that a lot. We see a lot of extra evidence just created around an issue. And so with Maui, I think we're going to see more and more of that, where they say, hey, this was done with this super sophisticated technology, but it probably, I mean, maybe not, but it probably wasn't. I can imagine there's a lot of really simple ways to do this. And it's probably not as impressive as people realize, in terms of battery explosions, targeting places with radio, high frequency. Like there's ways that are broad, that people could use, and it's less impressive than just like a laser beam out of Dr. No or Dr. Evil's like satellite or something like that. And that's what we're going to hear more of, because that's more interesting. Not just because the CIA want to make you hear disinformation. It's also just more interesting.
Yeah, so of course, so number one, I think it's obvious that there are technologies which we are not exactly beholden to in terms of what is possible, but it's also obvious that they will use whatever they can to make people scared. And even if there is this capacity, they would, of course, want to overplay the real power it has, so that people who are on the conspiracy route are then like, oh my God, I'm scared, I'm going to be hit by the dew. If maybe it's not even that simple in the end. Yeah. So there's many different layers, and also you never know how much of the things they present are anyhow just forgeries in terms of images, videos being forged. So often it's difficult to really get independent reporting from the ground. So this video was actually posted by David recently, and it just shows all the references to 911, yeah, starting from 1970 or something.
Yep, the Twin Towers.
There's many.
9/11, yeah. There's a lot of really good ones. Oh no, the Twin Towers.
Our detection system shows nothing. Mayday! Mayday! New York is under attack!
It's shielding the warplane. It's getting through.
Oh no, rockets are being launched from the
stealth jet.
It's almost as if the whole thing was, hey, wait, the checkered floor. Here it goes.
And see,
Boom.
it fits right there.
Yeah, Iron Man 1994 is the one to watch if you want to see both like the Twin Towers. And also, what's interesting is it looks like the Illuminati card game, the animation style from the Iron Man 1994. Batman Beyond. Oh, really? In Batman Beyond, do the towers fall? That's right. I forget that they were Twin Towers, but. Oh, so based. So gloriously based.
No use pleading.
I do love Batman Beyond.
Oh, yeah?
No, you're stupid.
The Rugrats in Paris. What about the Shrek one? Or Lilo and Stitch? You know, there's a lot.
I'm not even sure if it gets that far. I mean, even look at this.
Beavis! Yep. Yeah, it was good. It was good to grow up right before 9/11, because there's a lot of that. There's a lot of good stuff there. Oh man. I mean, yeah, I think that sums it up pretty much. What do you think? Do you like, David's not here, so I try not to bring up the coin when David's not here, but like the Israeli Mossad Saudi Arabia connection. Did you see the Danny Polishchuk hat video yesterday? Danny had low value mail. Hold on. We'll go to that for a second. I think it was a surprisingly decent episode. Like, it's always a good show, but he's a surprisingly good guest. Oh, is he doing Sam Tripoli? Yeah, I gotta watch that. Or was it with the Goob? Yeah, this guy. Where is he? He's gone now. Oh, this guy. Yeah, he had some interesting things to say about like the joint security between the United States, Israel, and Saudi Arabia, and looking into the security that was going on in New York and the Exchange Commission, and how they had faster internet there before anyone else, and the idea that there's like a week before it, there's Mossad and Saudi Arabians in and out, and so there's always this sort of like anti-Semitic conspiracy either way, if you think about it, because it's like either the Arabs did it, which is already kind of ambiguous at best, right? Or it's like the Jews did it, but then that's not really true either. So it's specifically, it's three states. It's like the United States inside job action. But if the United States did it, why did so many people not know about it? So it's a specific section of the government, which is working with sections of other governments. And that seems like the most plausible thing, is you've got the intelligence agencies of three states, which normally people think of as not being the closest allies, but they really are, right? I mean,
all right. So I only notice because of David, but please open the most recent link.
Okie dokie, yeah. Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
Maybe this and the first one.
This is
all
Roman
across numerals.
This is all across when you go to oh yeah. So are you saying this is like 9 less than 21 or what? How is this? How are you?
Well, what I'm
explaining
saying
it?
is about the whole thing, it's 911 coded, 911, and if you put that, if you have 11XX11 or however, this is basically the Jesuit ring.